Hey, I'm Matt, and once a week I try to break down some world building techniques, tricks, and tips, sometimes by building a world on the fly. And this week I was going to start a new feature where I start interviewing other fantasy authors about their world building process, but life being what it is, that fell through. And I did not set up a new script, but I thought we might try something else new for a little bit. I often, build things to demonstrate how they work, but I thought we'd do a more long-term one where it's actually looking at, the brainstorming sessions, the process where I'm building a new world. I'm starting a new series, urban fantasy series, and I thought I might pull back the curtain and watch the process. So I hope you guys will stick around and watch a little bit as I unveil the inner circle. Do we not have a title card for that? A little better. Well, yeah, we're kind of new at this. So anyways, this is the inner circle pitch session kind of thing. This idea has been in my head for 20 years. When it started, I think the prequel Star Wars series were still going on, and I had thought to myself, I'm going to write a movie that's better than all of that, and it involved alien wizards helping the Earth fight against cyborg invaders that were harvesting our spines for their computer processing, and needless to say, it has changed a lot over the years. The pitch is there's a world where magic exists, but it is, in a masquerade kind of thing. Most people don't know about it. And in this world where, magic exists under the surface, there's a boy who can douse, and he is recruited to help solve magical crimes. So there you go. That's the elevator pitch. I probably should have done a better version of it, but elevator pitches are not my specialty. Influences are obviously kind of Dresden and the Anita Blake series and all their offshoots kind of thing. It looks obvious for that, but that's not actually my real inspiration for it. The ones that would be more like the Vertigo series that I grew up reading. So, your Sandman, your Preacher. Yeah, see, I still have those. And John Constantine, which I don't actually have anything for. But the real biggest influence on this one is going to be The Invisibles. Let's see if I get a non. There you go. Grant Morrison, which is funny too. I think every one of my influences that I mentioned is British. But also the role-playing game Mage the Ascension by White Wolf was a huge influence. I didn't realize it till I started writing this, breaking down the magic system, and you'll see why in a little bit. I also haven't read that book or the RPG, or even played it in 25 years. I think we played like one session with my friends, and it was a little too strange for everyone in high school, so we didn't. But anyways, this kind of pitch is that it's a detective series where the main character or characters, because you have to have lots of characters if you're doing urban fantasy, have to uncover a mystery each book. So there is a mystery per book. Character has to figure it out, uncover everything. But unlike Dresden and Anita Blake, I wanted a harder system with clear limits on how it works. As much as I like those books and then grew up reading, actually more Anita Blake until it got a little racy. But Dresden kind of thing, their systems are kind of soft. You never really know what their powers are, what they can do. And so I always found that kind of unsatisfying as a screenwriter of they didn't do a thing that I was so obvious, like they pull a power out or do something that you didn't really know. A lot of times it'll be like, and then I have my plan, but they don't tell the audience what the plan is, which is part of the other thing that I'm doing, which is out of character for urban fantasy. It might be a bad idea, is that I'm going to be telling this one in third person POV, a tight POV, but third person. So because I think the first person always kind of feels like a cheat, where they're narrating it, they've given you here's what's going on in the story, but then at the same time they hide information from you so that the reveal, the twist in the finale can still feel like a twist. As a screenwriter, felt kind of like a twist. It kind of felt like a cheat to me. So we're going to be doing third person, which is harder to find examples of in urban fantasy. Library of Mount Char is what I'm using right now, kind of as my prose outline. I'm also kind of putting a twist on it. Dresden and Anita both are kind of already in the supernatural world, but I'm going to more of the outsider approach, the kind of Harry Potter, where the main character is brought into it for the first one and is always kind of an outsider in the story. So that way we can uncover new things, new characters each book. Each one is hopefully an on-ramp to the series. They're all going to be standalones, independent, Dresden style, not this big overarching plot like in my gunpowder fantasy one, which I will never do that again. I'm definitely doing that again, but man, not a thing to cut your teeth on. So back to the world building fantasy functions on this one. It is an urban fantasy, which means it's an overlaid world. Urban fantasy being, overlaid world being the real world, but with added stuff. The added stuff in this one is magic, but like an overlaid world, I'm going to be using real locations. Dresden's Chicago, Anita Blake's Kansas City, that kind of thing. Instead of making up a metropolis for Superman to be, or Gotham, I'm using real world locations. In fact, each book will take place in a different city as the main character is brought in to do it. And again, magic is the thing. Anything goes in this system. Invisible style, there is every kind of magic system. There is everything exists in this world, which is kind of the challenge. I have to work that in. I have to come up with a system that allows for all systems, which is why thank goodness I've created the AALC magic system, and I think it works. So yeah, there is going to be some biological and metaphysics going on in this world, as in spirits, undead, creatures that don't exist in the real world, but most of it is going to be magic. 90% of the story involves magic systems and that kind of thing. Humans wielding magic in some sort of way. So, again, biology and metaphysics will be in it, but they will kind of fall under the auspices of it. So, vampires might exist, but they're not the core point of the story, and they will probably be explained with the magic. I don't know yet because I haven't gotten that far into the system, so I hope you will stick around to see that part. The other big fantasy conceit for this is the culture, as in I'm going to be spending a lot of time with this masqueraded culture, what the wizards are, what they do, with their subcultures, the things that make them different because of their magic. How do they develop differently? That's going to be its own video. I've been working on it. You can't see it, but I've been working on it, and we're going to look at that in a little bit. But it is kind of cool because it does end up breaking down between urban and rural. There's kind of division between them, the schism between the urban wizards and the rural wizards, which has a lot of parallel to the U.S., which every good fantasy series has some sort of real world parallel, and I realized how United States, US, this is, how much of the world building is based on my own personal experiences. Harry Potter is very, very British, incredibly British. Of course, if there's magic, they're going to set up, bureaus and a school system, and teach the kids how to do it this one way, and funnel them into their careers in high school, which is always, I studied abroad in England for a year in college, and it was very interesting how there was a breadth of American education, but there was a funneling of British, and so yeah, it kind of fits with the Harry Potter system. And this one's very US. Instead of there being a one way that it's taught and you're brought in and you all do school together, this is a kind of anything goes and you're on your own. So very US parallels, which makes sense since I'm very United States. I'm very American. Anyways, so yeah, that's the brief overview, the pitch, the elevator pitch, which I'm still not very good at. I should be as a screenwriter sometimes. But yeah, I hope you will stick around and see more of the background process that to the Inner Circle, which is a working title. We'll see if it sticks around. Thank you very much. And I hope this helps you build better worlds.